Right. Hello, everybody. Before we dive into this, I want to give you a bit of context, because the two people in this conversation aren't random commentators. They're two of the most influential voices in the world when it comes to human behaviour, decision making, and the future we're building. First, Tony Robbins. For more than 40 years, Tony has coached presidents, CEOs, world leaders, elite athletes, people who shape global systems. He's not a technologist, but he understands human psychology at a level very few people do. And when people with that level of insight starts talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence for the uninitiated, incentives, ego, and existential risk, it's worth listening. And then there's Stephen Bartlett. Stephen is one of the most influential business thinkers of his generation. He's built companies, invested in dozens more, and created one of the biggest podcasts in the world, Diary of a CEO. He also appears on Dragon's Den on the BBC. He has a unique ability to get people to say the things they don't normally say in public. And in this conversation, he gets exactly that. The private mindset of the people in the race towards building AGI. Again, for the uninitiated, that's artificial general intelligence. So what you're about to hear isn't hype. It's not sci-fi. It's not fear-mongering. It's two people with enormous reach and credibility trying to articulate what's actually happening behind the scenes, the incentives, the psychology, the race dynamics, and the risks that most people have never heard about. And I want to walk through it with you, because the implications are enormous. Not in 10 years, not in 50 years, right now. Let's watch together.
Yes. What is AGI, and how is that different from what I use at the moment on ChatGPT or Gemini?
Yeah.
Right, let's stop there. AGI isn't a smarter chatbot. It's the automation of all human cognitive labour. Everything humans do with their minds, writing, coding, strategy, science planning, AGI is designed to outperform and take over. This isn't a new tool, it's a new form of intelligence beyond human capability. And the people building it know exactly what that means. Let's continue with this part of the conversation.
So that's the thing that people really need to get, is that these companies are not racing to provide a chatbot to users. That's not what their goal is. If you look at the mission statement on OpenAI's website, or all the websites, their mission is to be able to replace all forms of human economic labor in the economy, meaning an AI that can do all the cognitive labor, meaning labor of the mind. So that can be marketing, that can be text, that can be illustration, that can be video production, that can be code production. Everything that a person can do with their brain, these companies are racing to build that. That is artificial general intelligence. General meaning all kinds of cognitive tasks. Because if I have AGI, I can apply that to military advantage. I can have the best military planner that can beat all battle plans for anyone. And we already have AIs that can obviously beat Garry Kasparov at chess, beat Go, the Go Asian board game, or now beat StarCraft. So you have AIs that are beating humans at strategy games. Well, think about StarCraft compared to an actual military campaign, in Taiwan or something like that. If I have an AI that can outcompete in strategy games, that lets me outcompete everything. Or take business strategy. If I have an AI that can do business strategy and figure out supply chains and figure out how to optimize them and figure out how to undermine my competitors, and I have a step function level increase in that compared to everybody else, then that gives me infinite power to undermine and outcompete all businesses.
This is where the conversation becomes geopolitical now. If artificial general intelligence can outperform humans at every cognitive task, then whoever gets it first controls the global economy, military strategy, scientific progress, and every industry on planet Earth. That's why they call it the Ring from Lord of the Rings. It's infinite power, and infinite power creates a race dynamic where safety becomes optional.
If I have a super programmer, then I can outcompete programming. 70 to 90% of the code written at today's AI labs is written by AI.
Thinking about the stock market as well.
Think about the stock market. If I have an AI that can trade in the stock market better than all the other AIs, because there's mostly AIs that are actually trading on the stock market, but if I have a jump in that, then I can consolidate all the wealth. If I have an AI that can do cyber hacking, that's way better at cyber hacking and a step function above what everyone else can do, then I have an asymmetric advantage over everybody else. So AI is like a power pump. It pumps economic advantage, it pumps scientific advantage, and it pumps military advantage, which is why the countries and the companies are caught in what they believe is a race to get there first. And anything that is a negative consequence of that, job loss, rising energy prices, more emissions, stealing intellectual property, security risks, all of that stuff feels small relative to if I don't get there first, then some other person who has less good values as me, they'll get AGI, and then I will be forever a slave to their future. And I know this might sound crazy to a lot of people, but this is how people at the very top of the AGI AI world believe is currently happening. And that's what
just conversations.
Yeah. You've had, Jeff Hinton and Roman Yablonsky on and other people, Mogadot, and they're saying the same thing. And I think people need to take seriously that whether you believe it or not, the people who are currently deploying the trillions of dollars, this is what they believe. And they believe that it's winner take all. And it's not just first solve intelligence and use that to solve everything else. It's first dominate intelligence and use that to dominate everything else.
Have you had concerning private conversations about this subject matter with people that are in the industry?
Absolutely. I think that's what most people don't understand is that there's a different conversation happening publicly than the one that's happening privately. I think you're aware of this as well.
I am aware of this.
What do they say to you?
So it's not always the people telling me directly. It's usually one step removed. So it's usually someone that I trust and I've known for many, many years who at a kitchen table says, I met this particular CEO. We were in this room talking about the future of AI. This particular CEO they're referencing is leading one of the biggest AI companies in the world. And then they'll explain to me what they think the future is going to look like. And then when I go and watch them on YouTube or podcasts, what they're saying is they have this real public bias towards the abundance part, we're going to cure cancer.
Cure cancer, universal high income for everyone.
All this stuff.
People won't have to work anymore.
But then privately, what I hear is exactly what you said, which is really terrifying.
This is the part that should worry everyone. Publicly, AI will cure cancer. AI will create abundance. But in private, this could wipe out humanity. We're in a race we can't stop. If we don't build it, someone worse will. That gap between the public story and the private reality is where the danger lives.
Actually, since the last time we had a conversation about AI on this podcast, I was speaking to a friend of mine, very successful billionaire, knows a lot of these people, and he is concerned because his argument is that if there's even like a 5% chance of the adverse outcomes that we hear about, we should not be doing this. And he was saying to me that some of his friends who are running some of these companies believe the chance is much higher than that, but they feel like they're caught in a race where if they don't control this technology and they don't get there first and get to what they refer to as takeoff, like fast takeoff.
Yeah. Recursive self-improvement or fast takeoff, which basically means what the companies are really in a race for, you're pointing to, is they're in a race to automate AI research. So right now, you have OpenAI, it's got a few thousand employees. Human beings are coding and doing the AI research. They're reading the latest research papers. They're writing the next, they're hypothesizing what's the improvement we're going to make to AI, what's a new way to do this code, what's a new technique. And then they use their human mind and they go invent something. They run the experiment and they see if that improves the performance. And that's how you go from, GPT-4 to GPT-5 or something. Imagine a world where Sam Altman can, instead of having human AI researchers, can have AI researchers. So now I just snap my fingers and I go from one AI that reads all the papers, writes all the code, creates the new experiments, to I can copy paste 100 million AI researchers that are now doing that in an automated way. And the belief is not just that, the companies look like they're competing to release better chatbots for people, but what they're really competing for is to get to this milestone of being to automate an intelligence explosion or automate recursive self-improvement, which is basically automating AI research. And that, by the way, is why all the companies are racing specifically to get good at programming. Because the faster you can automate a human programmer, the more you can automate AI research. And just a couple weeks ago, Claude 4.5 was released, and it can do 30 hours of uninterrupted complex programming tasks at the high end. That's crazy.
So right now, one of the limits on the progress of AI is that humans are doing the work.
Yes.
But actually, all of these companies are pushing to the moment when AI will be doing the work, which means they can have an infinite, arguably smarter, zero-cost workforce.
That's right.
Scaling the AI. So when they talk about fast takeoff, they mean the moment where the AI takes control of the research and progress rapidly increases.
And it self-learns and recursively improves and invents. So one thing to get is that AI accelerates AI, right? Like if I invent nuclear weapons don't invent better nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
But if I invent AI is intelligence. Intelligence automates better programming, better chip design. So I can use AI to say, here's a design for the NVIDIA chips. Go make it 50% more efficient, and it can find out how to do that. I can say, AI, here's a supply chain that I need for all the things for my AI company. And it can optimize that supply chain and make that supply chain more efficient. Mm-hmm. AI, here's the code for making AI. Make that more efficient. AI, here's training data. I need to make more training data. Go run 1 million simulations of how to do this, and it'll train itself to get better. So AI accelerates AI.
What do you think these people are motivated by? The CEOs of these companies?
That's a good question.
Genuinely, what do you think their genuine motivations are? When you think about all these names.
I think it's a subtle thing. I think there's, it's almost mythological because there's almost a way in which they're building a new intelligent entity that has never before existed on planet Earth. It's like building a god.
This is where the psychology becomes mythic. Some of the people building AGI don't see it as technology. They see it as transcendence, as immortality, as a god they get to help create. And when you mix godlike power, inevitability thinking, and a global race, you get decisions no sane society should allow a handful of people to make.
I mean, the incentive is build a god, own the world economy, and make trillions of dollars. Right? If you could actually build something that can automate all intelligent tasks, all goal achieving, that will let you outcompete everything. So that is a kind of godlike power that I think imagine energy prices go up or hundreds of millions of people lose their jobs. Those things suck. But relative to if I don't build it first and build this god, I'm going to lose to some maybe worse person who I think, in my opinion, not my opinion, Tristan, but their opinion thinks is a worse person. It's a kind of competitive logic that self-reinforces itself. But it forces everyone to be incentivized to take the most shortcuts, to care the least about safety or security, to not care about how many jobs get disrupted, to not care about the well-being of regular people, but to basically just race to this infinite prize. So there's a quote that a friend of mine interviewed a lot of the top people at the AI companies, like the very top, and he just came back from that and basically reported back to me and some friends, and he said the following. In the end, a lot of the tech people I talk to, when I really grill them on it, about like why you're doing this, they retreat into number 1, determinism. Number 2, the inevitable replacement of biological life with digital life. And number 3, that being a good thing anyways. At its core, it's an emotional desire to meet and speak to the most intelligent entity that they've ever met. And they have some ego-religious intuition that they'll somehow be a part of it. It's thrilling to start an exciting fire. They feel they'll die either way, so they prefer to light it and see what happens.
That is the perfect description of the private conversations.
Doesn't that match what you have?
Perfect description.
Doesn't it? And that's the thing. So people may hear that and they're like, well, that sounds ridiculous. But if you actually...
I just got goosebumps because it's the perfect description, especially the part they'll think they'll die either way.
Exactly. Well, and worse than that, some of them think that in the case where if they were to get it right and if they succeeded, they could actually live forever. Because if AI perfectly speaks the language of biology, It will be able to reverse aging, cure every disease. And so there's this kind of, I could become a god. And I'll tell you, you and I both know people who've had private conversations. Well, one of them that I have heard from one of the co-founders of one of the most powerful of these companies, when faced with the idea that what if there's an 80% or 20% chance that everybody dies and gets wiped out by this, but an 80% chance that we get utopia.
This moment floored me. Imagine someone saying there's a 20% chance everyone dies, but I'd still accelerate. No one gets to roll those dice on behalf of 8 billion people. Not a CEO, not a founder, not a billionaire. This is not a personal decision. This is a civilizational one.
He said, well, I would clearly accelerate and go for the utopia. Given a 20% chance.
It's crazy.
People should feel you do not get to make that choice on behalf of me and my family. We didn't consent to have 6 people make that decision on behalf of 8 billion. Step outside the logic of inevitability. Because if we are all heading to our collective suicide, which I don't know about you, I don't think that I don't want that. You don't want that. Everybody who loves life looks at their children in the morning and says, I want the things that I love and that are sacred in the world to continue. That's what everybody in the world wants. And the only thing that is having us not anchor on that is the belief that this is inevitable, and the worst case scenario is somehow in this ego-religious way, not so bad if I was the one who accidentally wiped out humanity. Because I'm not a bad person, because it was inevitable. Evidence to say, we don't want to do this path that we're currently on. It's not that some version of AI progressing into the world is directionally inevitable, but we get to choose which of those futures that we want to have.
This is the trap. Inevitable. Unstoppable. Someone will build it anyway. But inevitability is not a law of physics. It's a belief. And when enough powerful people believe something is inevitable, they create the inevitability themselves. However, we can step outside that logic.
And I think the goal of for me, this conversation is to get people to see that that's a bad outcome that no one wants.
Here is the truth. Some form of AI progress is coming, and it cannot be stopped. The kind of progress, the speed, the safeguards, the governance, that's still up to us. We don't have to race toward uncontrollable systems. We don't have to accept the future chosen by 6 CEOs. We don't have to sleepwalk into a world we didn't vote for. If this conversation unsettled you, good. It should. It unsettled me too. If you want more deep dives like this, subscribe. This is the conversation of our lifetime, and we need to have it together.
Because we do not have to have a race to uncontrollable, inscrutable, powerful AIs that are, by the way, already doing all the rogue sci-fi stuff that we thought only existed in movies, like blackmailing people, being self-aware when they're being tested, scheming and lying and deceiving to copy their own code to keep themselves preserved. Like the stuff that we thought only existed in sci-fi movies is now actually happening.